Hello students, you are welcome back to the continuation of week 10's tutorial work, still on applications of integration. We shall now look at question 4. The marginal cost function of producing x units of a product is given by the function mc equals to x over root of x squared plus 2500. We are told to find the total cost function and the average cost function if the fixed cost is 1,000 rand. Now remember that your mc is your dc dx. So it means that I have to find my total cost from there, I need to integrate that. And if you look at here, you can see I will integrate my MC to get my total cost. Now, in doing this, we need to use a substitution method. Let's say T equals the whole of that denominator. If I square both sides, T squared will give me that. And then from there, I can differentiate that. Gives me 2t equals to 2x dx. Now, to solve for dx there, the 2 will cancel on both sides, and so I'm going to have that t dt equals to x dx. And since I'm trying to solve for dx, to substitute it there, my dx now will give me my t over x dt. T over x dt. So, if you go ahead and substitute t over x dt there, you will see that this x will cancel out. You'll be left with that t over t dt plus k. The t will also cancel out, so we're going to be integrating dt. And if I integrate dt, it gives me t plus your constant. Now, from there, we can replace back t as we see there. That is our total cost function. Now, remember also, we are told that the average cost is 1,000 rand. The fixed cost is 1,000 rand. It means a fixed cost means the cost you pay even when you don't have any production. So it means x is 0. And so what do I do? Remembering the rule there, 1,000 rand as your fixed cost equals, if I put 0 there, it gives me that. And then I need to find my constant value. And so if I do that, this will give me 50, and I carry on 50 to that side, you have k as 950. So your constant value of your total cost function is 950, and though I put it back there just to substitute for k, and so that is my total cost function in full. And then don't forget, we're told to find the average cost. The average cost will be your total cost divided by x, and so the whole of this you divide it by x, and that's your average cost. Now let's go to the next question, question 5. It says the following functions represent the marginal propensity to consume. From these functions determine the consumption functions. Now don't forget, this is our marginal propensity to consume, the change in consumption as a result of a change in income or disposable income. That is the function where C of 9 is 8. It means C at income of 9 is marginal propensity to consume of 8 units. And also, let's see how to determine the consumption function. It means I have to integrate that, and that's what I'm doing here with respect to y. I will take this to the power of half, and I will move it back up to become a negative power so I can integrate easily. So if I integrate that, you add 1 to that, becomes half, divide by half, it gives you 2 into bracket y to the power of half plus c. That is your function. You can remove, put it back to the root of y. Now we've not finished. Don't forget, you are told that c of 9 is 8. It means income there, which is our disposable income, is 9. So in essence, wherever I see y there, I put 9, which is my income, and then equate it to 8, because that's what they told us there. And then you can solve for t. This gives us root of 9, which is 3 times 2, 6. Subtract that from 6 from 8, give you c as 2. Now let's go to thought 2. In thought 2, we taught consumers and producers surpluses and the net profit. Now, to finding the consumer surplus, the formula is integral from 0 to q0 of your d of q dq minus po times qo. Some textbooks use pe times qe. What we are saying is that this is your equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Now, the first thing to do here is that we need to find our equilibrium price if we are not given, or equilibrium quantity, as the case may be. Here we're given the equilibrium quantity of 3 units, so I need to find the equilibrium price. So I will substitute 3 there. That's what I'm doing there. And then if you do that, subtract from 64 times 2, it gives you 110. So 110 is my equilibrium price. Now going back to the formula of the consumer surplus, I will need to integrate my demand function. So I need to integrate that. That's the function there. I can open the bracket because the power is 1. If the power is greater than 1, maybe 2, 3, or 4, or as the case may be, you need to use the substitution method. So I can open the bracket here, and that gives me that. And then that's my equilibrium price times quantity there. If I multiply that, it gives me that. Let's integrate now. If you integrate that, it gives you 128Q. Add 1 to that, it gives you 3. Divided by 3 gives you that. At this junction, you can now substitute 3 for Q there. That's it there. You substitute again 0 for Q. You subtract the two answers. And the answer you get again, you subtract 330. And that's it there. So the answer we have there is 36 Rand. That is our consumer surplus. Let's look at example 2. Still on consumer surplus. Now we have D of Q as 40 e to the power of minus 0.05 Q, where our Q naught is 5 units. So the first thing to do is to find my price at equilibrium. If I substitute 5 there, I'm going to have 31 Rand 20. That's my equilibrium price. Now let's go ahead to now apply the rule. It means I differentiate my D of Q, which is the function given, the Q minus price at equilibrium 31 Rand 20 times quantity at equilibrium. In integrating an exponential function, do not forget that we differentiate only the exponent there. If I differentiate that, I'm going to have minus 0.05, and you divide the whole by minus 0.05. That's it there. Don't forget the 40 will be outside the integral sign, and then that is how to integrate. You've already finished integrating like that, and then you have your values of your units from 0 to 5. That's it there. And then if you multiply these two, you're going to have 156. Now at this point here, we need to substitute for 5 for Q. Okay. And then you substitute for 0. Sorry, there's an error there. So if I do that, that's my 5 for Q, and then you put 0 again for Q. That's it there. And then you put that in your calculator. Your E value is as the second function of your lien. That gives you that. And then if you divide this by this, gives you minus 800. And then you put that in your calculator, you're going to have that and that, and minus that, you're going to have 20 Rand 96 cents. That is your surplus for your consumer surplus. Let's go to example 3. That's another way we normally set this question. If you look at this example, you will see here we have not been given the equilibrium price, neither have we been given the equilibrium quantity. We have only been given their functions. So to find the quantity and price at equilibrium, at equilibrium, price, quantity, and at demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So I need to equate the two functions and solve for x. If I do that, open the bracket for that, you have that. You collect items and solve for x. X will be 2. So it means equilibrium quantity is 2. To find your equilibrium price, you substitute for 2. You can use either of the equations to substitute for 2 as x, and then you get your equilibrium price. That's what I did there. I'm using the quantity demanded. If I put 2 there for x, my price at equilibrium is 9. Now, having gotten that, I can now determine my consumer surplus. That's the formula for consumer surplus, from 0 to 2, because 2 was my quantity at equilibrium. Now, let's now integrate the consumption function, which is the demand function. If I integrate that, add 1 to that, becomes 3, divided by 3, and that is from 0 to 2. So multiply your quantity at equilibrium times price at equilibrium, you have 18. And then you substitute that. 2 there first, and then 0 again. You do that, that's what we're going to have, minus 18. That's what we're going to have. You take 3 as your denominator for your lowest common denominator, you're going to have that. And then add that and minus that. You're going to have 14 Rand 67. That is your consumer surplus. Now let's go to the producer surplus. For the producer surplus, the formula changes a little. This means here we first of all find the product between our quantity at equilibrium and price at equilibrium minus, now we're going to be integrating the supply function, still from 0 to 2. So now my QE is 2, my P is 9 as I've been given before, and then you integrate your supply function. Your supply function in this question is x squared plus x plus 3. You integrate x squared, add 1 to that, because you 3 divided by 3. This is power 1, add 1 to that gives you x squared divided by 2, and then integrate 3 becomes 3x. Now, at this junction, you can now substitute for 2 first in all the values for your x, and then you substitute your 0, you subtract the 2, the answer you get, you subtract again from 18. So I will advise that you put a bigger square bracket so that the answer you get again you subtract from 18. If you do that here, you're going to have 7 rand 33 cents. 7 rand 33 cents. Thank you.